Thank you so much for your time this evening. My name is Lillian Woolley and it's time for One-on-One. Please start talking to us. The hashtag is One-on-One, or you can talk to us on SMS number 22422. Tonight we're talking about youth and morality and want to play focus to the Project X party that trended in the week that was. And just to remind you in part, a lot of what was going to happen in this party had to do with the fact that no one who got in was meant to leave out the same. Sex, alcohol and drugs was part of the plan in the Project X house party, which was planned to take place in Nairobi's Kileleshwa estate. And this in part is what the posters read. So this is quote unquote, chicks, dudes and a whole lot of booze. Come experience the house party everybody is talking about. No rules, no regulations, carry your own high, whether it's herbs, pills, everything is legal. End of quote. Authorities in some quarters said it was meant to be attended by porn syndicates who were to shoot films during what was hoped to become a drug-induced orgy. The party was banned after a social outcry over moral decadence, but mixed reactions from the youth on this issue. Most are wondering what the big deal is. It's a fact that this party is similar to the ones they attend every other weekend. My panel in studio this evening, let me begin from this end with Celestine Kanjama. She's a mother and a youth club administrator. She's going to be talking about whether parents have failed in their role. Also with us is Raymond Mutura. He's the president, Kenya chapter of Program for Family Development at Strathmore Business School. Thank you very much for being with us, Raymond. Also with us is Babu Owino. He is the SONU chair, and he'll be telling us exactly what is happening in his circles. Is he aware of such parties? Is a similar party going down this weekend? He might know best. And then also with us is Bishop David Mureithi. He is the founder, chief pastor, House of Grace. He's going to be talking to us about how the church feels about what is currently going on with the youth. And of course, you know him. He's not a stranger to you, or maybe you've not seen him before. This is Robert Alai, controversial vlogger, loved, hated by some, but speaks his mind. So let's get into it. By the way, the hashtag is One-on-One. Please start talking to us. I want to start with you, Raymond. How are we raising our children? Do we care where they're going? Do we know who their friends are? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think one of the challenges that many parents have is that they just don't have time. So people have an ideal on what they want to do, but if you were to look at, you know, a typical time for a parent, there's really no time to do the parenting, etc. So what they have had to do over time is to look for alternatives. So alternatives started with TV, the alternatives started with the maids, one maid, two maids, do this for us. Then we've gone into servants, more and more servants, tutors, etc. Yeah, so there's a challenge that we are not getting time. If you look at family life for a parent now, it's typically a Sunday affair.
Sunday affair.
Yes, Sunday affair.
So parents too busy looking for money. Celestine, are parents burying their heads in the sand, do you think?
I think we have been taken over by the society, the demands of the society, but given everything, still parents could still put in some time. We would avoid having the Sunday parenting only, because we have a long day of 24 hours. Both parents go to work, the children go to school, and we both come back in the evening. So it's a matter of sacrifice so that we both give the importance of family to our children as parents.
And I want to, before we cross over to the rest of the panel, talk about the shock of a mother, for instance, seeing their daughter being arrested. There was a suspicious party yesterday in Langata, and teenagers there were arrested. The shock of a parent who is ideally doing the 9 to 5 or putting in 13 hours at seeing their child, mainstream media, getting arrested because of attending such a party.
Of course, it's a big shock, and what comes to mind first is to think, have I failed? What am I doing as a mother? Could I do better? Yeah? Where was I when my daughter was being caught in this? Yeah? So it brings a lot of questions to mind that sometimes you don't get answers to, but it's a moment to begin. Yeah? When such happens and the shock comes in, it's a moment for me to begin over again and think, what is my priority in this world, yeah, as a mother, because my children should be the most important thing to me, more than the work that I'm doing.
And I want to cross over to Bishop Muredi. Before that, I actually spoke to the Project X organizers who were to join us in studio this evening. I wanted to get their thoughts on the boldness, the bold approach at which they designed their poster, why they even came up with this concept in the first place. And I got an apology from them. They felt it would not be safe for them to sit here in studio with us because of the social outcry. And let me just read out their apology to you before we continue with the discussion. So here we go, and this is what they felt. They felt that, of course, their coming to studio would lead to a possible arrest, and after seeking the advice from their lawyers, they felt it was safe to stay away. But either way, they claimed that the party was blown out of proportion, that it was basically an advertisement that was misunderstood. Bishop Muredi, is the country on the brink of a moral crisis? When we look at the future of this country, which is the youth, the teenagers, are we on the brink of a moral crisis?
Well, for me, I'm surprised that people are surprised in the first place about Project X. This is something that has been going on for years now, and what has happened is that somebody has got the guts and the boldness to just magnify what has been happening. And so the country should not be shocked. This happens all the time. And because of lack of role models, somebody got the guts and the boldness to magnify what has been happening all along.
And it's been happening how?
Well, it's been happening in homes.
Yeah.
Yesterday was another one. And so many things happen over the weekends. Nobody talks about it. And somebody just got the guts and the spine to just magnify it, and the country now is waking up to the reality that there's something like this that happens. It's not new. It's not news to us. Some of us who are on the ground and who know what happens from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah. So, Babu, this is a fact. Bishop here is saying these parties are actually going down. I know you attended one not too long ago, the controversial party. What's his name again? What's your friend's name? Steve Mbogo. The Steve Mbogo party. That was a huge affair. So for perhaps the younger ones who can't afford to throw such lavish parties, who still want to have a good time, this is actually happening every weekend. You as Sonu Chair, you know that teenagers, that university students are doing this every other weekend?
What I can talk about, Muli, is very simple. That you and I, that parties go on, they go down during the weekends, even some go down during the weekdays. But the question is, are we having a responsible fun? Because what is important is we don't advocate for people who are underage to go for these parties. That is where now the parents should be coming in, because according to traditional jurisprudence, it is the sole responsibility of the parents to take care of their children. I don't know what is happening now. And again, on issues of people who attain the majority age, these are people who know what they are doing. But they should be having a very responsible fun. But fun, too much play without too much work without play makes Babu a dull boy. So by the end of the day, the fun should be there, but it should be a very responsible.
And yet organizers of this party are said to actually be adults, as is the case in the suspect that was arrested in yesterday's. There you go. That is an adult, and she's believed to be the suspect that was actually selling alcohol to underage persons. But of course, this still under investigation. I want to talk to you, Robert Alai. Why did Project X sell? Why is alcohol, sex, drugs, why is this selling? Why for you as bloggers, for instance, is this something that you would even like to comment on because of the number of hits that it's getting? Why does it elicit such a reaction across social media?
I don't see anything wrong with, people selling fun. I don't know what is moral and what is immoral in this country, because, we have seen so many moral things. We have seen leaders shooting somebody dead, in a traffic jam. We have seen theft of money in the country. I've seen a lot of things which I'll call immoral. Kids having fun, I don't see anything immoral with that. The problem I have is maybe the language, maybe the intentions, maybe the hidden intention of some of the organizers. You can talk about maybe, like calling the girls to lose their virginity, things like those are things which you will fear.
Yeah.
But just kids having fun?
And, I'm surprised you're talking about kids having fun, because one of the taglines was that nobody leaves a virgin. That was one of the taglines, which is quite disturbing and got the attention of the National AIDS Control Council, which in response to this party said, quote unquote, it should be noted that in 2014, about 29% of all new HIV infections in the country occurred among adolescents and young people, and that AIDS was and remains the leading cause of morbidity, which is ill health and mortality deaths among this population group. So, coming back to you, Raymond, these parties are going to continue happening. If we cannot control them from, stopping to happen, then how do we ensure that the alcohol and the drugs do not spiral out of control so that these children end up in engaging in sexual orgies with persons they don't know, and protected sex, drug abuse, needle sharing, and what have you?
No, I think the parents need to intervene. I mean, fine, the parties can go on. We can have people who are thinking of these things. But a couple of things have happened. Babu says here that the traditional setup, the values and the systems that we had were there to, where the parents are, where are the parents in this? But we have to remember one thing. Many of the parents now, no longer have the extended support that they had, or the extended family support.
Oh.
So it's
extended meaning from who else?
The social system that was there in the rural areas. Many of us have come to town, and we still have the hangover of thinking that we have uncles and aunties somehow taking care of the kids. So there's one challenge, that the parents actually have not been prepared to face this reality of where you have to work, you have to eventually take care of your kids. So parents have to intervene, and they have to find out, what are our children doing? What are the social projects that our children need to undertake? Yes, it's good they have to have fun, but what kind of fun?
Our values as a society, Bishop Muriithi, where are we headed? What is the solution? What is the role of the church? Are you guys reaching out to these teenagers? Perhaps is the fact that they're even finding interest in such things an indication that there's just nothing else out there for them to do? There are no mentors, like he said.
Well, there are no mentors. I think the situation boils down to mentors. As I said, that the young people are looking for mentors, but the mentors are not there. And so there's a group that is taking advantage of that situation. The church is doing what it can. But how many hours do you have these kids?
Yeah.
We have these kids on Sunday. And sometimes you have them even for just 1 hour. Maximum maybe 2 hours. These kids are with their parents from Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. That tells you that it boils down to parenting. The Bible never said that the church should spare the rod. The Bible said that the parents, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. I think there's a place for discipline. What are our morals? What are our mores that govern this nation of Kenya? What is wrong and what is right? And yes, we do agree that there's a place for fun. But when does fun turn to immorality? These are some of the things that we need to ask ourselves.
Robert, when does fun turn to immorality? And the fact that people as young as anybody that has access to a computer really will read what you put out there. Anybody that has access to a phone will be able to access this information. If Project X is happening and a child as young as 7, 8, perhaps children are getting phones at a pretty young age nowadays, will be able to access this information. Your thoughts?
You know, what I think is that with the demand, somebody will tap on the demand. So the people, the organizers of Project X knows that there's a demand for easy fun, which they're trying to do. But you know what the kids are doing is still available on the tablets. You're having the phones, you're having, the phone, the kind of weird stuff you can get on a regular mobile phone, and then look into it. Even the average Kenyan parent has not known how to filter some of these things from the phone.
So how do you feel as a blogger who has quite a following that you can help shape the thinking of these young people, the people who people love gossip in this country, we know that. Sex sells, anything that is controversial hits the trends. So what is your responsibility as a blogger in changing the mindset of people like Babu? Okay, not Babu, but Babu's followers.
I think I'm one of the most morally upright bloggers you can talk about. But what I'll advise is this, that we control our having fun, but still we let our kids have fun, but you tell them the alternative ways of having fun. Because I'm also, apart from being a blogger, I'm also the chairman of an estate, 26,000 residents. A good number of them are young kids. And there's a way of us bringing in to protect them. We even organize parenting forums. We even organize, you know, mentorship events. And these are the ways where we nurture them. We tell them what to do right, and what is wrong in the society. But still, you find that some parents are never there for their kids.
Okay,
and those are the kids who you'll find taking. I have a kid, you know.
You have a daughter?
Yeah, I have a daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't think that my daughter, even if you invited her to Project X, she'll go. Because she's been brought up in such a way that
and you're confident that
she'll not find that thing funny.
Okay.
She'll not find it fun.
So Babu, why the insatiable desire for young people? People come to campus, freshmen, very innocent, and then all of a sudden she's got a sponsor. You know, there's something called a sponsor, and it's so disturbing that there are actually people called sponsors out there. So you send your child to campus, and this is your daughter, perhaps Celestine's daughter, that she raised really well. I know my child would never get involved in such things. So who is to blame? Are the parents to blame? Are you guys the ones that are to blame for not following in the footsteps of your parents and the values they've instilled in you?
Actually, every department in this country, which is involved directly or indirectly with their sons and daughters, is to blame. Why? Because when I look at parents nowadays, they're so busy, as Raymond said, they don't have time for their kids, and the moral teachings that they used to probably get when they were young themselves, now they don't give them to they don't teach the young ones. Now when you go to the church, people are also losing some faith in church, in some churches, because when you go to church you see also some immorality in it.
Do you want to respond to that, Bishop Muriithi? Is that an unfair statement?
No, before I respond, I think I should finish first. So I didn't say all the churches, but some churches. You've seen scandals happening with even pastors. Even pastors themselves are having too much fun, drunk driving, and we've seen that in national televisions. Now, when we're talking about our students also, there's a lot of frustrations in the university. Why? Because of the amount of money allocated to these students. You find that when
parents are giving their children too much money.
No. There's insufficient funding. That's why there are issues of sponsors coming up. Why? Because student gets an average of 40,000 shillings for help. Then 28,000 goes to school fees. You remain with 12,000 for the whole year. What do you expect this student to do?
You're supposed to be studying. What's the money for?
Can you study on a hungry stomach?
But the food is paid for, the lunch and dinner is paid for.
No, it's not paid for. You pay for your own food, accommodation.
So,
and
okay,
if
the parents
you can't get the money for accommodation, you will not even spend in the university.
Okay, so I'll get back to Raymond shortly. But Bishop Muriithi, the hue and cry from the youth that the church has failed them. Last week we had a discussion here about the church really putting in efforts to draw the youth back to the church. These guys feel you guys have failed in your role.
Well, the church basically is a spiritual entity, predominantly. Yes, we do have a moral aspect to it, but the morality aspect is very small compared to our spirituality. People come for spiritual nourishment in the church, predominantly. Morality is tailor-made in the house, in the home. What's happening in this country is just a reflection of what is happening in our homes. This is what is happening, and so we have to go back to parenting. When is the last time a parent told a child not to watch a television program because it's not appropriate? When is the last time a child said, okay, we have to cut down our DSTV because the one we have maybe is too elaborate for you and you cannot handle? When is the last time a parent said that, okay, the smartphone I bought you, you don't deserve it, it's not right for you at this particular time? I have kids. I can't give my kid a Ferrari at this time because I know they can't handle it. They're going to crush it and they're going to kill themselves. And that's what parents are doing. They've given their children too much freedom that they can't handle it. This is a country that is crying for freedom that they can't handle.
Yeah, so Babu here is saying that they don't have money. That's why, say, girls in campus or even in secondary school have sponsors now. But is this a case of a little too late? Is it too late to turn these values around, the value system and these teenagers around? Is it a little bit too late for you as a parent, for instance, to come in and tell your daughter, look, you're going in the wrong direction?
It's not late, but before I comment on that, I would like us also to reflect on what is fun. Is fun drinking alcohol? Is fun insects? Is fun, what do we qualify as fun? Because that will be very important for us to know what fun do we want our children to have. Now back to your question, Sorry, you'll have to remind me again.
Well, I can try and help. Meanwhile, she's trying to reconstruct it.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, the parents have to get involved with their children all the time. As Bishop is saying, we cannot decide that our children have suddenly grown up to a level.
And the parents are asking, how do you reach out to a teen that hangs up on you, a teen that tells you that you're boring, you don't understand me, you don't live in my world? You
have to find ways to connect to the child. I mean, we cannot say that, oh, my daughter or my son now is not, listening to me.
And they do say that,
yes,
by the way.
I mean, I have my children, and today I picked them, and I can tell you, they say on Friday I picked them. They come in the car, they're all quiet. Okay? It's not that they don't want to be picked, but at the same time, as they're growing to be teenagers, they are not interested in all these, tell me this, tell me the other. They want your affection. They want you to understand them. And we have to go out and try and understand what are our children going through. What is the music station they're enjoying? What is the music they're enjoying? We cannot just fold up and say that's it. They are resisting us, so that's it. Now, no.
We'll be getting feedback from our viewers shortly. Robert, is it easier? He's saying we need to understand our children. We need to speak in the same language. So if my child tells me I want to go for a party, is it easier for me to drop them at this party as opposed to saying, no, you're not going?
It depends. When your child tells you that they want to go for a party, you need to ask which party, who is the organizer, what are they trying to have as fun. Something like a birthday party, you'd deny them the chance to go for a birthday party because most parents believe that the birthday parties are not so bad. So, and still, you need, but as a parent, you need to find a way of connecting with your kid. That's your kid. Whenever something strange is going to happen to them, that you are the first person they're going to contact to tell that, Dad or Mom, something is going to happen in this party, and I'm not sure if you know about it. Like somebody's having alcohol, somebody's, they'll tell you, they'll raise the alarm, and if you don't have connection with your kids, I think those are the things which are going to happen. Me, I was brought up with a parent who was very strong, very strict, and we didn't like it, but now we find a reason to love what he was doing to us.
Okay. Well, we have your feedback, and before we put your tweets up, somebody here is saying in the X they are seeking for a greater good. They're looking for identity. If they don't find it from family and good friends, they seek it in pleasure in wrong company. Somebody here is saying we appear shocked about Project X, yet our wives and mothers this is quite X-rated. I don't think I want to read this, just to forgive me. Lillian, let the nation know as a country we're on a free fall devoid of moral standards. I think Babu is in the wrong forum. An undergraduate student should not say that you guys are not getting enough money and that's why you're behaving the way you're behaving. Babu, I'm sorry, this is just coming from an upset parent.
I think the parent is wrong. She never heard me well. What I meant is that one of the reasons why, because you're talking about the issue of sponsors, I said one of the reasons why a student might resolve to getting a sponsor is insufficient funds. And probably you know what happens. The main reason why they get sponsors is so that they can get money, and this money is probably for their upkeep. So the parents should not talk that way before taking responsibility.
And even to the girls out there, really, if they're handsome guys like Sonu Chem and Babu here, why do you need a sponsor? And to the sponsors, what are you doing with a girl that is younger than your daughter, or even, I mean, really, it's just unbelievable. Okay, let's take your tweets. As we continue with the discussion, let's take your tweets and see what you're saying. Okay, they're running on your screens right now. Bishop Mureithi, what is the role of the government in all of this? We've talked about the church. How do you think the government should step in? We saw the police come in and say they've banned this party. Politicians came out and there was a lot of, hue and cry about this issue. So everybody was talking, everybody was reacting to this. But what do you think is the role of the government in today's age in just curbing some of these vices?
Well, I basically, just before I respond to that, I need to point out that for me, I grew up in a time where it was not just my parents who parented me. Everybody parented me. If my neighbor saw me doing something wrong, even if it was not my father, he would cane me. He would tell me that is wrong. We have a saying in Africa, I am because we are. I don't know what happened to that saying, that I am because we are. Meaning that if I see a kid that is going out wrong, I need to know that that is my kid, even if I didn't biologically see the kid. I mean, I'm thinking about this Project X, like what happened last night. That is an adult's house who pays rent. I mean, how can an adult, a citizen of this country, allow his house to be used for that kind of function? I mean, we need to come up and just address this issue and say, listen, this is wrong as adults. And say that we can't allow this kind of mores really to govern us. It's wrong. The government has a place in terms of implementing the laws of this country. It is wrong to have drugs. Drugs are outlawed in this country. Cocaine is outlawed in this country. Underage people are not supposed to be drinking. These are laws that are enshrined in our constitution, in fact, and in the laws that we pass in parliament. And so what the government needs to do is to implement the laws, but it boils down to parenting. It boils down to parenting.
Is the solution in banning Project X? I'll get your thoughts, I mean your individual thoughts on this. Celestine, let me start with you. Is the solution in banning this party or any other party for that matter?
The solution is in parents providing an alternative to having fun for the children. We need to think of, when you tell your child, don't go to a certain mall, don't go to this party, what are you offering that is an alternative? Maybe it's a moment for us to look back and see, is there a skill that our children could engage in more often? Are there good clubs for a certain age of children where we could send our children to, so that they can learn some skills, they can have fun and be better people? What more can we give as an alternative? So that when you're telling your daughter or your son you're not going to this party, you're giving an alternative. The phone is not an alternative, because now we have smartphones. You give the child and say you're not going yet. The child with that phone is around the world, because it gives access to the whole world around through that little gadget of a phone. Yeah, so we can't say that keep at home, then you provide all the gadgets and all the things that they need. The Wi-Fi is on 24/7, and then the children still are with you physically, but yes.
How young is it? I mean, when to give your child a phone?
That's always a big debate in parenting courses. Always a big debate. But this is the issue. We need to be, as a parent, as a team, husband and a wife, we need to decide, look at it and agree and say, look, what do we need to do? What does a child need the phone for? Yeah, because there are all sorts of things these days. In class 3, you will have assignments that you have to Google this, Google the other. But you see, one of the things the parent has to do, as Celestine is saying, the whole world is in that phone. So as a parent, I cannot be naive and just think, okay, I'll give you the phone and expect that you will only go to Google and Google butterflies and come with the answers. We cannot be that naive. We have to know that the phone has other things that can be harmful, and you come up with a criteria of what needs to be done. What can be done on the phone? What are the times to use the phone, etc. And there are many parents who've come up with all sorts of systems. No phones during school holidays. During holidays, it's monitored phone use, etc. You have to think about it. The more that the parent Bishop talked about is no longer the parent that is there now. The parent now has to deal with different things: traffic jam, working, balancing different things, and at the same time managing gadgets.
And when should the sex conversation be had? You know, the parents who are putting their children on contraceptives, there's this talk about, my dad can't talk to me about sex, my mom is the one that should talk to me about sex if I'm a girl. And then there's that conflict of, if my dad doesn't talk to me about sex, then he's cooler because, you know, he doesn't ask too many questions. Girls are starting their menses, their mothers are not talking to them about, you know, the repercussions of having sex once, you know, you come to this time. When to have the sex conversation?
By the way, it starts very early. And you see, the thing about sex education is not that you elaborate everything. So the parents have to always be very keen. So when the children are growing up and they begin noticing that I am a brother and he's a sister and he's different, when the child asks, the parent should be there and ready to explain with the circumstances of what the child understands at that time. You're different because he's a boy and he's a girl. That's sex education. Next time it will be that the other day I saw mommy kiss daddy. So what is that about? You explain. But what we are saying is that the parent has to be constantly a teacher in the home. You have to be constantly a teacher. Now, at some point when they're going into puberty, before they go into puberty, parents must discuss this issue with their children. A father must get the boy and tell the boy exactly what happens. And a girl, the mother, explain exactly what happens without too many details.
Yeah.
They don't need to hear it from somebody else. They should hear it from their parents.
Why are campus students being targeted, Babu, when you look at these parties and when you look across the board, even at the pool parties and leading hotels in this country, a lot of them are campus students, really promising young men and women who are losing themselves to alcohol, to drugs and sex. And then the cycle continues. Every other weekend there's a plan. Every other weekend there's a plan. And in campuses across the country, you will find people who have been in campus for years. I don't even know how the VCs allow these kids to be in campus that long because of the partying. Why are campus students being targeted?
I think campus is a place where you'll find readily available youths, and for a person to join university, that's an adult. He knows what he or she is doing. So by the end of the day, even people past the age of the youth, they do attend parties every weekend. I think some we do meet in some joints. So I think about having fun, I have no problem with it, but a responsible fun, as I repeat. Two, kids under the age of majority, which is under 18 years, I think the parents should be very much close in touch with them, and they should open up with their kids also, so that all these ulabalus we are hearing that 16-year-old was found in a club drinking, you know, some of these things they emulate even from our parents. So
you are the SONU chair, meaning you have a voice. What role are you playing as SONU chair in promoting healthy and clean fun? What example are you setting yourself?
I think personally every student would like to be like me, because I'm a very moral and a clean person. So I urge all our students to be like me. One. Two, that we set up different forums, and we have different people talking to our students on the demerits of having irresponsible fun. Yeah.
Okay. Bishop Moretti, the way forward, this is not something that's about to end just because we're sitting here as a panel and saying that the parents have failed. The way forward for us as a nation, for the young leaders of tomorrow, what's the voice of reason coming from you, who is a leader of the church?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we should not even start asking when the rain started beating us, because we're already soaked. The rain has already left the station. I think what we need to do is to go back to the basics. Young people have energy, and that energy seems like it's not directed in the right direction. And so the solution to this mess that we are in as a nation is mentors, parents, church leaders, politicians, and all who love this country and love our youth should come up with ways in which they can direct the energies and the passions that our young people have in the right directions, giving them causes which they can die for the future, and not waste their energies in things that will not matter in the next 20 or 30 years. And let me ask you, I mean, some of the things that we do, we need to ask ourselves, will it really count in the next 20 years? Will it really matter in the next 30 years? And if it doesn't, then I think we who are mentors and maybe who lead should endeavor with all that we can to direct the passions and the energies that our young people have to things that they can die for, and things that they can look back and say it was worth it. This is what I would advise.
Okay. Robert, I know you keep up with current events, politics, social issues and what have you, but I want you to talk to the young people of this nation, particularly because gossip and sex is really selling, and a lot of them, you know, perhaps follow the lifestyles of socialites and think this is the way forward, this is cool. Look at you know, controversial people out there who drive all these fancy cars and think this is where I want to get to. They don't care how they get there. So for you, as perhaps opinion shapers, because people believe what you write out there, tell us, is it about the money? Is everything that you guys write out there the gospel truth? And I know you have your critique on certain bloggers and the message they're putting out there. Honestly, looking at social media, what role has it played in leading to the immorality and the decadence we're seeing in this day and age?
I think we have failed to an extent, and you know, this is both the mainstream and the online media, the social media. And that even if you check on the mainstream media, what the kind of music we are trying to portray, and this is what is easy to copy. The soft diplomacy of the American life is very powerful. It's the kind of hip hop and slow music you see being played on our TVs is such a very powerful mentor to our kids than even us as parents. So I think also the mainstream media, we need to find a way of balancing what we want to be seen, the high demand for the Kim Kardashians and so on, and also the need to have proper parenting on our TV. You know, I'm so, it's good that I live close to Tim, the former Club Kiboko host. And you know, I still ask myself that where did the good old programs for mentoring the young people like Club Kiboko go to? Where do we have those old programs? You know, what we used to remember, those are the things which you used to remember on TV. Nowadays, people dancing bendovers, and it's a nasty experience. But still, I wish that our mainstream media would take a lead, because you know, we might talk about the urban population who have access to the internet, but still other Kenyans, majority of them have access to the mainstream media, and they are still being influenced by what they see on the TV. It's not good, because you know, I've realized even from in my house, I'm hosting some of my relatives, and some of them stay up late to watch some of these programs, you know, and I tell them that, you know, what do you want in life? What do you want to achieve in life? Is it this is the life? Because I used to love gangster rap better than anybody you can imagine, but still it didn't help me. So we must find a way of balancing our demand for quick fun and also our need to have a better life in the future.
Yeah, but yes. would it I wish you would just say to these young people out there that some of the things that you guys write out there are actually not fact, that people are not living. I mean, that people are not as wealthy as they portray themselves to be out there, as you guys portray them to be out there, that you guys are just writing these things to get hits and therefore by extension get sponsorship.
I'll tell this is what I'll tell about the young people about the internet. My teacher, you know, I started learning about the internet through professors, through the World Bank sponsored Africa Virtual University, and what the professors told us that, imagine that somebody you're not seeing in the internet and has written something. Imagine that he's a dog. Yeah? Imagine that he's the worst being you'll ever seen. So that, don't take what they write as fact. Don't take what they write as the gospel truth. So that you make proper judgments. You balance what is true and what is not true on these things you see from people you don't even know where they come from. You don't know a lie. Most of you don't know a lie. Yeah. So it's best that you take whatever I write. If I don't do gossip, but still. Yeah, it's an interesting subject.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks for your thoughts, Robert. And you're finally from a mother. Let me close with a mother coming from you. What really is your advice to these young people, the ones who feel lost, the ones who are going to these parties because they feel mom and dad are never home? Maybe be the voice of all the mothers and fathers out there who are perhaps crying for the lost souls of their children but don't know how to reach them. This is like there's no turning back for these teenagers. They're like, you know what, I don't talk to my mom, I don't talk to my dad, I don't even live at home anymore, I ran away.
To the young people, what I would like to tell you is that the people who have the best interests, your best interests are your parents. And if you are to do anything, the best person to consult is your mother, your father, and they will always be there. Listen to their advice. Remember, they are older than you, they live the life before you, they know what is wrong, what is right. So try to obey them as much as possible. And where you feel like you're not being granted what you really need, take it to the pinch and then later go back and appeal, because your parents have your interests at heart. And to my dear mothers out there, let us be interested, let us be available and present in the life of our children, because they need our love, they need our affection, and if we give them that affection, if we give them that love, we will not lose them. They will not go out there to look for fun in anything else. They'll always remember, my mother told me, my mother advised me.
Okay. And Raymond, is it safer then to drink with your son and daughter if perhaps they've come of age, they're 18? They say no drinking for persons under 18 years of age. So if you have an 18-year-old and you're a dad who likes taking your beer once in a while, is it easier to just step out with your son, have a couple of beers, go home, make him your friend in that way, or is just that totally unacceptable?
No. I mean, friendship. I mean, father and the children and the boys and the girls, there has to be friendship. Okay.
So whatever
we will do many things.
Yes.
There are all sorts of things we will do. You will start with the projects of the car, you will go into the project of washing the car, and then eventually as he grows up, you can have another project of having a social drink at the right time. I mean, you have to judge it as a father as well. But I think the key, just to end, is to say, look, the father gives identity. And the time that the father provides for both the boys and the girls is identity. The girls need their father for identity, for security. In fact, some of the things that Babu is talking about of having to go for sponsors is actually a lack of security. So we have to be able to give out the security as fathers, and we have to spend time to give this authority, this possibility of identity.
Okay, very strong points from my panel this evening. Yes.
Still, I think majority of us, the parents, what we need to do is that we need to allocate chores, I don't know, chores and chores to our kids. My parents told me that, my father told me that he would not leave home without telling me what to do during the day. So he will not just walk out going to work. Tell your kids you want this done, so that at least they have something to do. They know that in life you have to do something to earn a living, you know, and even during the weekends, even when the house girl is not there, try to give them some work to do, so that when you're giving them, at least knowing, you're bringing them up knowing that at least in a day somebody, a human being, has to do something to live.
And Bishop Borebi, like Babu said, give them enough money so that they don't have to look for sponsors or want to hang out in a certain clique like Babu Owino's clique, which is really
I think
the in clique in this town. Or
I think money is not the solution, really, and money is important. I think what is important is values. I think values is more than money. Some of us grew without money, and we made it through universities and other institutions that we went to, not just in this country, but out of this country. And as he's saying, that responsibility is key in this place. Or how we bring our children, well, how do we want them to be in the next few years after college? Money has never been the solution. It's vision and mission and purpose that makes an individual. There are several mountains that shapes an individual. One of the mountains is media. Another one is education. Politics governs how we live. And so these several mountains that shape us need to be put in check, because they're really shaping what the future is going to be. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know how Kenya will be in the next 1 year. Just look at Hollywood. And when you look at Hollywood, it goes to Chicago. From Chicago, it will go to New York. And from New York, it's going to go to the rest of the world. And Kenya does not even walk into some of these things. Kenya runs into some of these things. So we need to be careful when it comes to these things.
Then, I think you should not misconstrue my statement when I said you give them money. You asked me a question why sponsors come to campus. I said one of the reasons is lack of security, insufficient funds. Personally, I still believe that this thing, there are so many people who are brought up from very humble backgrounds without money, but they are very responsible, they are very moral. And I don't advocate for the issue that we should look at from the perception that it is money that brings all this. There are people with a lot of money, but they are very moral. And you know,
so you speak to the young people out there who look at Babu Owino and say, I want to be like this guy. Like, to be cool, to be in his clique, I have to attend these parties. For him to even recognize me, I have to show him that I can do the most shots in a night. I mean, there's a lot of nonsense that was written actually in that particular poster, that, you know, the person that takes the most shots, or I can't even say it.
Let me tell you something.
What is it, like, from you as the youth, what would you like to say to the young people out there about what it means to be cool, and to what extent you need to prove your coolness as a young person?
Lillian, personally, I'm not condemning fun. I was saying an irresponsible fun is what I'm condemning, but a responsible one, everybody do have fun.
And responsible is what?
Responsible fun is not the fun that was posted in the posters.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well said. And that is a good point to close on. Okay. One last one from me.
No, I think I liked Robert's comments on duties and chores. And you know, one of the things that we have all been spoiled in this country is all these servants and maids and whatnot. I think parents have to really rethink whether they can try and create programs and things and activities that children can do in the home. Well, that is one, but as he says, I mean, there has to be a series of duties, a series of tasks. Otherwise, an idle mind, they say, is
the devil's workshop.
Thank you.
Okay, and of course, in conclusion, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. So kindly share with us your thoughts. Let us know what you think on the issue of youth and morality in this country, our future leaders. Where is this generation headed? What are your thoughts, and what is your role as a parent, as a guardian, as an elder? Please share your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we had to my panel this evening. Robert Alai, Bishop David Mureithi, Babu Owino, Raymond and Celestine, thank you very much for finding time to join us on 101. The hashtag is 101. Please keep talking to us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.